So this week in Corvette news, 8 Corvettes were stolen right from the Bowling Green assembly plant. Another Corvette was stolen and driven over 150 miles per hour in Mexico. Man, a lot of Corvettes being stolen this week. And GM places new owner retention policies on the new ZR1 to prevent owners from selling their cars for over a year. And it is now week 2 of me not having my Corvette Z06 in the background and having my wife's sweet EV vehicle instead. So we're gonna talk all about that in today's video. So thanks for tuning in, guys, where we talk Corvette news, do product review videos, how to install videos, and the occasional car driving car show all around Corvettes. Again, I know I don't have my Corvette in the background for the second week, but I promise you, this is a Corvette channel. So if you like what you hear and you want to know when these videos drop, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and join in on the fun. Okay, so the first piece of Corvette news we're gonna talk about is the Corvette assembly plant in Bowling Green. And it's not because of ZR1 allocations in production talks this time, but a sensational bit of Corvette news where 8 C8 Corvettes were stolen right out of the factory. That's right, on March 22nd, around 10 a.m., police found a new maroon Corvette with all its stickers, all the coverings, at an apartment complex that was about 8 miles away from the assembly plant, of which they thought, that's kind of weird. So the Bowling Green police then decided to reach out to the assembly plant and asked, hey, are you guys missing a $160,000 car? And sure enough, the assembly plant started checking their inventory and saw that they were missing 8 Corvettes, 8 C8 Corvettes, brand new. And the one that the police had found was just one of them. Now, by the way, originally it was thought a C8 ZR1 was stolen, but it turns out that was a company car that was being driven by a high-level plant employee. But it was at least a little bit of a rumor that a ZR1 was stolen, but it turns out that it was not. Anyways, so not only that, after GM checked their security footage, it was found that the thieves had ended up cutting a large freaking hole in the assembly plant fence and literally just drove the cars out of there. From what I understood, the key fobs were in the cars because it's on assembly plant grounds. It would be a lot of work to keep records of all the different key fobs for all these different plants. So generally the rule of thumb, how I understand it, is that the key fobs are left in the vehicle. So technically speaking, if you were to walk in onto the assembly plant where all the completed cars are on the lot, you could theoretically drive them out. But thankfully, once Bowling Green was able to notify the police of their missing inventory, it wasn't long after that all the C8s were found. And mind you, all of them were found not that far away from the factory. A couple of the stolen Corvettes were found at that same apartment complex that I mentioned before. And then one was only a quarter of a mile away from the assembly. In fact, 2 of the C8s were found in what looks like a Lowe's parking lot where the suspects were trying to apparently sell the cars outright or at least move them out of the area. And currently, as of a recording of this video, there's only one suspect, a 21-year-old Dante Walker from Westland, Michigan, which kind of surprised me with all these stolen Corvettes essentially sprinkled around the area. The police only have one suspect, but at least all the cars were recovered. So now there's 2 things that scream at me from this whole instance that I'm sure you guys are thinking too. First is how brazen these thieves are for stealing 8 Corvettes total, that they did not have a game plan of what to do with them as they got them out and from the assembly plant. I mean, it's pretty easily over $1 million worth of inventory that they stole, and all this risk not to have a game plan of actually getting them out of the area outright. And resorting to outright trying to sell these cars in a Lowe's parking lot, which doesn't scream red flags, is like almost the equivalent of trying to sell fireworks, like illegal fireworks in a parking lot. It's so dumb. But I guess that's a good thing since, the police were able to reacquire the cars kind of deal. But I'm sure GM is going to quickly resolve this issue and beef up the security around the assembly plant so this never happens again. But this honestly goes to my second question, and it comes down to how in the world GM does not realize it's missing 8 Corvettes. Like seriously, what I find crazy is how easy and lax it was for the thieves to just straight up get into the assembly plant, just literally cut a hole in the fence and just drive them out. It's such a simple plan that it's almost, you don't think that it could work, but then it does. In any case, I just am glad that the situation is resolved in the way that it is, so at least GM knows better for next time, so that there is no next time, frankly. I would hate to be in the situation where I'm one of those new Corvette owners. You saw that your C8 Corvette was fully built and you literally find out that it was stolen from the assembly plant. Because obviously I'm not gonna want that one. I wanna get another brand new one. So that is just a nightmare. And I feel bad for those people that was their slotted C8 Corvette that was stolen and now they probably have to wait. I'll bet probably it's going to be an expedited build, but they're probably still going to have to wait a little bit longer for a brand new one exactly how they want it. Okay, so the next piece of news is still actually dealing with stolen Corvettes, but this C8 was involved in a high-speed chase going over 150 miles and ended up crossing the border into Mexico before it finally ended. So on March 14th, according to US Border Patrol, a white C8 Corvette blew by one of their unmarked patrol cars on Highway 111 going 150 miles and heading towards the Mexico border. Now, what makes Highway 111 special is that it's largely flat and level highway that runs from Southern California through farmland country and eventually hits the border city of Calexico, which mirrors the city of Mexicali on the opposite side of the border. And I never knew of these names until I found this article. I thought that was kind of interesting, the names that those exist kind of deal. I kind of want to visit them, honestly, but in any case. And Border Patrol gave chase to the C8 Corvette, which in true Hollywood fashion, they used some spike strips or some kind of other means to puncture the front tires. But even then, the car was still doing 100 miles an hour after those front tires were popped. That honestly is a bit impressive because I can't imagine trying to do 100 with my front tires flat, even if the tires are run flats, which I'm assuming they were in this case. And the car did end up blowing through stoplights and crossing the border into Mexico, where presumably the thief thought he could get away with, crossing the border. But he was very shortly caught soon after on the Mexican side of the border and is now awaiting extradition. Thankfully, even after everything, no one was injured as a result of the police chase, and the Corvette will eventually get back to its original owner, which looks like that the Corvette has pretty much like minimal damage, so that's kind of pretty good. In any case, this is a pretty crazy set of Corvette stolen news. I would not have expected to hear any of this stuff. Kind of reminds me of the video I made some time ago looking at how likely it is for a C8 Corvette to get stolen. I did that video probably about a year ago or so, if I recall. And from what I had read, at least when it came to the statistics, C8 Corvettes don't really get stolen, but it looks like now it's becoming more of a common thing where the key fobs are starting to get more spoofed. Instead of it being crimes of opportunity, which is what I had found in the past kind of deal. But now that those key fob spoofers are becoming more and more prevalent, it looks like a C8 Corvette is more likely to get stolen as compared to other keyless entry type cars. It makes me think of needing to get one of those kind of special Faraday cages to put my key fobs in when I'm not using them. But a cool side note, I did figure out there is a way to turn off your key fob even if you don't have a special cage to put it in. So you actually just can take your actual key fob and hold the lock and unlock button. I think it's for about 10 seconds, and it will turn off the actual signal output from the key fob until you essentially use the key fob again, and then it will reactivate. But I thought it was an actual cool little hitch, which I'm probably gonna try to make into a future video just to kind of test it out and show that it does work. But essentially, yeah, holding down the unlock and lock button, holding it down for I think about 10-20 seconds or so, your C8 will then beep a couple times and show it and tell you that the key fob has been deactivated, and then you don't have to worry about it getting spoofed or whatnot. Anyway, so the last bit of news is on the ZR1, where GM has officially changed the owner retention policy to 1 year for Corvette ZR1 buyers. So if you haven't heard of this retention policy, it's something that was started in the C8 Z06. Essentially, GM said that if you bought a new Z06, you were not allowed to sell the car via this retention policy for the first 6 months. If you did, the new owner would lose their full GM warranty, and you would essentially be blacklisted from ever being able to purchase a Corvette from the factory. Now, this new retention policy ups the duration to for the ZR1 to 1 full year. So new ZR1 owners will not be able to sell the car for the first year under this clause, and it's GM's attempt to stop flippers from selling the car at higher prices to others that would be willing to buy it at a premium price. So the problem I see though, as just with the Z06, even the E-Ray, when they first came out, the main contributor to those price hikes weren't the flippers, but actually the dealers themselves putting these insane price hikes and hurting the brand. You easily saw a lot of smaller and mid-sized Chevy dealerships throwing $20, $40, even $100,000 markup on the MSRP, when the Z06 and E-Ray first came out, and they were hard to get. And undoubtedly, we're gonna see the same thing happen with the ZR1, which is super frustrating because all of that is short-sighted greed, in my opinion, and really just hurts the brand and what it stands for. The true Corvette enthusiast understands that this car is a statement of how American engineering comes through and dominates a lot of the other supercars, with the ZR1 even dominating hypercars, and honestly bringing you better performance sports cars at a fraction of the price. But that price and brand is tarnished when you have these dealers ruin a primary positive aspect of what makes the Corvette so great. It's the best bang for your buck kind of deal when it comes to a performance car right out of the box. It honestly just disappoints me, and it's not because it prices me out personally out of the ZR1, which yeah, would be pretty sweet for me to get, but I'm really happy with my Z06, even though it's not freaking here. It's disappointing because while some of us are heavy Corvette fans that, yeah, we're gonna be miffed about it, but we're still going to maintain that brand loyalty, this kind of experience would ruin potential new first Corvette owners from joining in and instead use their money on like a Porsche or a used Lamborghini or whatnot. And I know the ZR1 probably wouldn't be most people's first Corvette, but my point is that this markup action keeps setting this trend of what would turn off future generations of potential Corvette owners. It makes GM having an MSRP absolutely meaningless if all you're going to get is dealers just marking up the price when a new version or generation of Corvette is released. And this leads to the massive price gap and disconnect where you have these insane markups of the new Corvette variants, and then you have these huge discounts of under MSRP for baseline C8 Stingrays or even the Z06s and E-Rays that we're seeing no one buy. In any case, this is turning into a little bit of a rant instead of just news, but that's my 2 cents on the issue. But what do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments because I'd really love to know if you guys feel the same way I do, or if you have a different perspective that I should be considering. So definitely let me know in the comments. I'd really love to know what you think. Okay, there's an extra last bit of news that just dropped when I was just like literally a few minutes before I actually started recording this video. And that was that it looks like we have some update in regards to the ZR1 allocations. The ones that were at 2,000 status are now going to 3,000 status, but have the ZTK option available, or at least the very notable high wing, that very, very nice ZTK wing. It looks like that is going to be the case now with future owners that are now going to be able to get the option. So it's good that GM has finally shed some light into the situation where those people that were at 2,000 status, it looks like they're now going to be able to get a ZTK option. We're gonna see some of those ZTK options out on the street as a first round of ZR1. So that's also really good news that I'm very excited to see. Okay, so the last bit of news is just my own personal news, and that is my Z06 that's currently being repaired. So if you haven't seen the latest news video that I had made, essentially I was driving my Z06 normally, heard a very loud ticking noise coming from the rear driver's side of my Z06, and I pulled over and saw a massive goop of grease right under my drive axles. So I had to limp the car literally to the dealership, and is being repaired under warranty, thankfully, as we speak. Now, I'll go into full details of what happened when it's all said and done, because I'm not actually the only one that's been in this situation before. It's actually kind of interesting. It's happened to other people. And it's also interesting of where all this happened when like I had this situation which caused me a huge amount of anxiety limping this car to the service dealer. So I'll go into all the details. Anyway, so that video will be coming out soon along with other cool videos, including my first experience power wash cleaning this polyurea garage floor after accidentally spilling massive amounts of oil on the floor when I was trying to do the oil change on the Z06, which, yeah, it didn't go that well. Long story short, I had to clean the heck out of this floor because there was just so much oil all over the place. And yeah, so when that video comes out, definitely check it out along with any of my other videos. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, guys.